Hello guys, welcome to the Big Data Show. I am connecting to a lot of aspiring data engineer nowadays through TopMate or LinkedIn or even using Instagram. People are messaging me for their query. And one of the most common query which I found in recent days is that people are good with theoretical knowledge of Spark, but they are finding very hard to practice PySpark problem, good PySpark problems. Because most of the people are new to this PySpark, they might not be using PySpark at their day-to-day basis at their daily job, but they have read the theory, but it is getting hard for them to like practice PySpark code, the real world scenario. So to fill this gap, we, the Big Data Show team, has decided to create one playlist or tutorials where we will be solving problems using PySpark. Okay, and what will be our format of solving problems? So we will, if you can see our screen, we will firstly generate a real life problem. Okay, so we will firstly generate a real life problem, and then we will write SQL for the problem. So in real life problem, we will have table 1, table 2, table 3, table 4, or we will have a Spark DataFrame 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we will try to solve the problem using SQL first in the initial few videos. And once your understanding is clear, like if you are able to solve the problem using SQL, then we will solve the same problem using DataFrame API or Spark SQL. I hope this is clear to you. So, to just give you an example, we will read the, we will take the table 1, like we will read the data and create one table, table 1, table 2, and let's suppose table 3, and then we will solve the problem. Like firstly we will generate the problem, right? Problem generations, like the one questions will be created. Then we will solve the problem using SQL, and then we will try solving the same problem using DataFrame API or Spark SQL. But mostly we will focus on this. And while solving the problems, we will try to make you understand about different concepts of DataFrame API. So, for example, if I'm using a Spark sessions, then I will try to make you understand about what is the difference between a Spark session and Spark context. And let's suppose I'm writing some code and I've used repartition or coalesce. I will make you understand when to use repartition, when to use the coalesce. In this way, we will try learn Spark. Theory, or you can read by yourself. We will make you a hardcore developer who knows Apache Spark and who can write Apache Spark code. So let's start with our first problem. So the first problem which I generated is my own personal experience. So I'm a very big fan of badminton, and I go for playing badminton on most of the weekends. I was sitting with the badminton court, what you call owner. He's a good friend. So I was just sitting with him one day and I was just trying to analyze his data and trying to help his analyze his data. And I realized that he was running like that badminton court from last 3 to 4 years in Bangalore, and he has a massive sets of data. Then I have set up some of the PySpark script and help him with the analysis and others. So the same analysis I will be sharing with you, and that will help you to practice PySpark. So if you can see by the screen, then you can see that we have generated questions using badminton code. Okay, so the some tables which is related to badminton code. Okay, so we have generated some questions that can be solved by either using SQL, or if the data is huge, it can be solved using PySpark. But our motto is to learn PySpark, right? So even if the data is small, we will treat it as a big data and then try solving PySpark. Right? So let me highlight it once, SQL and PySpark. Okay, and we will try to practice as much as possible. So without wasting time, let's go to the first problem statement. Okay, let me just minimize it a little bit. Okay, so the first problem statement is user activity analysis. Here, in the user activity analysis, I am having one table with the name code. Okay. And here the primary key is combination of two tables, user ID and login date. And this table records the session of user who visited the code. Let me firstly erase it. Okay. So this table records the session of user who visit the badminton code. And if you can see, then we are having 4 columns: user ID, kit ID, login date, and session count. So let's try seeing the table. That will make more sense. Okay. So let's see this one example table. So if you can see from this table, then user ID 2 for user ID 1 has visited on 2 dates, right? 1st of March in 2016. So he or she has visited on 1st of March, and the same user has visited on 2nd of May. Same way, user ID 2 has visited only one time, that too in 2017, 6/25. Perfect. Like 25th of June, right? In 2017. And user ID 3 has visited 2 times. 2016, 03, 02, 2016, 07, 03. And when the user ID 1 has visited for the first time, then he has used kit ID 2. When that person has again visited, then he has again used kit ID 2. But when user ID 1 has visited for the first time, that user has used kit ID 1, but for the next time, that particular person has used kit ID 4. Great. And as user ID 2 has visited only for the one time, so he has used only kit ID 3. Great. And user ID 1 has done session count, 5 session count on first visit. On second visit, he has done 6 session count. Same way, user ID 1 has done only 1 session count, and user ID 3 has done 0 session count. Okay. And on the next visit, that particular user has done 5 session count. Well and good. And what is our problem statement? Let's see the problem statement. So our problem statement or objective is to write a query to determine the earliest login date of each user. Well and good. So we want to find when a user has visited for the first time in the badminton code. So this is a very simple problem. If you try to analyze this thing, then what you can do, you can just group by on user ID, right? If we group by on user ID and then find the minimum of login date, right? Then we will get the first login date of each user, right? So if we do this, so what will be our query look like? Let me write it here itself. Let me just give it black. Wait. So if we write this query, how can we write this query? We will write select, and then we will say user ID, comma, minimum of login date, right? From our table name is it's a quote actually. It's not user activity. I have written it quote here. I think so. Yeah. So from quote, right? And then you can do group by. On which column we will be doing the group by? We will be doing group by on user ID, right? Group by user ID. This will solve our problem. Well and good, right? So this is good. This will give us user ID and first login. Like for this particular user, it will give this. For user ID 2, it will give this. And for user ID 3, it will give this. Well and good. I hope this is clear. But you will say, Ankur, this is very easy problem. Why you want to solve this problem in SQL and then using PySpark? Because I want to demonstrate one thing. In data engineering world, most of the time, you will not be actually using group by directly. Because when you write code using PySpark, you have lot of transformations. And the problem of group by, it's not a problem actually. It is the tendency of group by that it will reduce the number of rows. Like here we are having 5 rows, right? But when we are doing group by, so this is one group, right? This is another group, right? So if we, and this is another group. So it is creating 3 rows for us, right? So if you can see the expected output, this is 1, 2 and 3. 3 rows, right? But what will happen in most in data engineering problem, most of the time, you don't want to lose the other column information, or even you don't want to decrease the number of rows. So here when you are doing group by, like here if you are doing group by here, right? Sorry. From code group by, right? If you are doing group by here, so what you are doing? You can either select this particular column, right? The group by column in your select query, right? Or either you can apply aggregations on another columns. So what you can do when you apply group by, so in group by, you can either select the group by column. Here in case of us, we are having user ID, right? So in our 1 minute, we can either select user ID or we can, let me write it here, we can apply aggregation on other columns, right? So here we cannot select kit ID. If I try doing kit ID here, it will show error. Or even if I try doing login date here, it will actually say, it will not run, right? So for solving this same type of problem, we can actually apply Windows function, right? And why I'm applying Windows function? Because you will see in the subsequent problems, we want to preserve the other column information like kit ID, login date or session count. We don't want to lose them. So if you apply group by on user ID, and then you cannot select this column, you can either apply some aggregation on these columns, right? So you will not able to select, then you again have to make a join with the existing table, and this became problem because you are creating group by, then you are again apply join, right? So group by is good, but the problem is that we are losing the other column informations which might be required in the subsequent transformations or subsequent logic, right? So we will solve the same problem using Windows. Till now, we have seen how to solve this problem using group by and then applying one aggregation, that is minimum. And I would told you that we should also solve this problem using Windows functions. Solving this type of simple problem using Windows functions might look complicated, but in longer run, you will see that Windows functions will come very handy. Okay, so without wasting time, let's try solving the same problem using Windows function. Cool. So the first questions will be, what is Windows function, right? So let me write it for you. Window function in SQL. Okay, so I will not go very deep, but just to keep in brief, Windows function is nothing but applying group by, okay, on some partition or some window. So when I say, like, let's suppose I apply the minimum, and firstly let me write it. Let's suppose if I say minimum of event date, okay, and then I apply one window over partition by user ID. Okay. So what this will do, if we go here we will be, let me firstly just erase it. So here this you will be one partitions, this will be one partition or window, or this will be another window. And for this particular window, the aggregation function will apply. So we have set minimum of event date, and minimum of event date over where we have set we over partition by user ID, right? So for this particular user ID, what is the minimum event date or login date? This will be this, right? This will be the minimum date. For this window, this will be the minimum date, right? Same way for for this particular window for user ID 3, this will be the minimum, right? So this will come, right? For user ID 2, this will come, and then this will come. I hope you are getting. Same way, if we apply, let me first erase it so it will look good for you. 1 minute. Is it? Right. Same way, if I say that apply rank function, rank window function, okay? If I say rank and then I say over partition by user ID, and I will also apply order by, and I say order by, what is the column name? Login date. Login date ascending. Okay. And I will just rename this column as RAN. What this window function will do? So firstly, we have done partition by user ID, right? So this becomes my one window, and this became my another window, and then this became my another window. For this particular window, like user ID 1, it will create one extra column with the name rank, right? And for this particular window, I have done partition by user ID, right? User ID partition by, right? We have done, and we have said we have applied order by on login date, right? And that too ascending. So here for this particular user ID, the user what the login date, the rank will be, because this is the minimum date, right? Because we have applied ascending, so rank will be 1, okay? And for this particular date, rank will be 2. Well and good. For user ID 2, rank will be, this is the another this is the one window, right? This is another window, right? Then this third one is another window, right? So for here, the rank will be, what will be the rank? Rank will be 1, okay? And for user ID 3, the first login date, because we have done ascending, right? So first ascending, this is the first date, right? Because this is the first date on which that user ID 3 has visited. So rank will be 1, and for this particular row, the rank will be 2. Well and good, right? So, and what is our problem statement? We want to find the first login date of user ID. So how can we do that? So what we can do, let me write it in the next page. We can write one city, and now you will see, Ankur, what is city? City is nothing but just creating a virtual table. If you see in the layman term, that will create one temporary table for us. And why we want to create a temporary table? Because we are creating one new column, right? And after that, we will be applying some filter. So that's why there is a need to create one temporary table, or you can even use subquery. I am not a big fan of subquery because it makes code very complex, and that's why I try creating more CT, okay, or using with that is like one virtual table, okay. What we will do, we will write the code now. We will say with, and I will give the table name rank table as, okay, and then we will say select, okay. For now, I am doing star only, star, comma, let me apply the rank function, okay, and then they will say forward, and let's say partition by user ID, comma, let's do one, order by login need. By default, this is ascending only, but let me write it down, ascending, and then I will also give this as rank. I'm just giving one name to this particular column, okay, and we will also apply another function minimum. Here we will say just partition by user ID and as first login, okay, from our table name. What is the table name? Code, right? And then we will close our table. So this will create one ranked table, right? This particular statement will create one ranked table, and from this particular virtual table, we can write the query now. So what I will say select which all column we need in the output, user ID and first login, right? We will say, let me just select user ID, comma, first login from which table? Our virtual table. Rank table where rank RNK is equal to 1. Right? So here where rank is equal to 1. Here we have applied one filter. So if you see here, this is the first rank, right? So if we select this particular rank and this rank 1, then this will be column, right? So in this way, this particular row will come, then this particular row, for this particular row to be for user ID 2 will come, and for here this first row will come, right? So here the first login, what is the first login is this, and for row this is this, for user ID 2 this is this, and for user ID 3 this will be this, right? So we will get this output. I hope this is clear to you, right? So if you don't understand the Windows functions, then I will suggest you to read it. But to make it in very simple terms, Windows function is nothing, but it acts just like group by. But what group by will do? Group by will decrease the number of rows, right? But Windows function will actually create one new column. It is not decreasing the number of rows, right? And in this way, we will also not lose the information of other column. Because when we do apply the group by, then we can either select that particular group by column, or we can apply aggregation on other column. We cannot select any other column. I have already explained you, right? Here, if we have done group by on user ID, then we cannot select kit ID or login date or session count in our select query. We have to either apply some aggregation. But if we apply Windows function and then we apply filter, we will not lose the other column information, which is very much handy when you are writing code using PySpark. Because in PySpark code, there will be not only one transformation, there will be multiple other transformations. And with my experience, I have seen that most of the times, instead of applying group by, people are applying Windows functions so they don't lose the information of that other column information. Well and good. So I hope this is clear. Like from SQL, you are able to solve this problem using two ways. One way is in group by, another way using group Windows function. Now we will go and try coding the same thing using PySpark and see how we can solve this problem using PySpark. I hope you are ready and you have got this thing. Still, if you have not got this problem, I will ask you to pause this video and again watch the solutions from the beginning and try understanding in SQL, and then we will move forward and we will try solving this problem in PySpark using SQL till now. Now our main goal is going to start. We are going to solve the problem using PySpark. And for doing this, I've already created one input table. And to make you aware, I'm using Google Colab. So what is Google Colab? It's the online editor. You can use it to write your PySpark code. You can just type Google Colab, go to this particular website, which is provided by Google, and you can say new notebook, and that will help you to create one notebook. In that particular notebook, it's very easy, right? You can simply type under exclamation mark, and then you could type pip install PySpark. And what this will do, it will install PySpark for you, which you can use handy to like solve your problem. So I've already created one normal notebook for me where I have created my input table. So if you can see it, right, we have already seen this problem in our SQL, right? So here we have one input table with the name code, which has 4 columns, right? User ID, kit ID, login date, and sessions count. Where here user ID and login date is the primary key of table. And what is our objective? We have to write a query to determine the earliest login date of each user. And how we have solved this problem? Firstly we have solved this problem using simple group by, and then we have tried solving this problem using Windows function. Well and good. So for doing this, I have already created one data frame for you. So here I have imported all the required imports, and you can use this particular website as Spark by example. I use this particular website to to write my syntax, because most of the times throughout my 5 years of my career in data engineering, I have written code in Scala. So I am little bad with writing code in PySpark. Okay, so the Python syntax. So I use this particular website to write my syntax. So what I have done, I have already imported the required library. But if you don't know the required library, you can always write your code, and then you can debug your code and import the required library. Here I have initiated the Spark session, which is the entry point of my Spark program, which will help me to initiate the Spark sessions, right? So I've created one Spark sessions, and then I have defined my schema, right? So step number 1 is the create a Spark session. Step number 2 is to create a schema. And before doing everything, I've used this command to install PySpark, right? Then I've generated some dummy data, right? And then I've created a data frame. So let me just run this code for you, and then you will get it. I've already run this code. Just wait for a fraction of a second and it will show you input data frame. Well and good. Just wait for 1 minute. Okay. So now we can see we have the same input data frame which we have used in our while in our SQL demonstrations, right? We have solved this problem using SQL also. So what is our first approach? Our first approach is to use group by and minimum function, right? Let me just increase the font for you. Perfect. So what we will do here? So for group by, we will simply write group by group TF. Let me call this as a group TF. And then I will use with column. What is the with column? It helps to create a new columns for you. Or do I need with column? No, I don't require with column. I can simply write group by. It is also showing me the syntax, right? Group by, and then I have to apply the column. So on which column I have to apply group by? I have to apply group by on user ID. Well and good. Perfect. Then what I have to do? I have to apply aggregations, right? I have to apply aggregation, and which particular aggregation? I have to apply minimum of login date. And if you see above, I have imported Spark functions, and inside this Spark function, I make it alias, and so from this Spark function we have to install minimum, right? So I am saying f dot minimum. Well and good. Let me alias it and call first login. Well and good. Let me just call one action, that is show command. That is the actions, you know, right? So these all are transformations. So see, Spark, all transformations are lazy in nature. So until and unless you call an action, so the Spark transformation will not be called. So you should understand what is lazy transformations in Spark. Okay, that is very much asked in interview. So till now, what we have seen, two things. Spark sessions. So people will ask you the difference between a Spark session and a Spark context. Then people will ask you what is transformation, what is action. Then people can ask you what is lazy transformations and why this is lazy, why transformations are lazy in nature. And you should explain all this type of problem. The explanation is very, very simple. See, if a Spark transformations are lazy in nature, then a Spark can optimize it. You might not write optimized code. Then they can, whenever some action is called, they can create some plan like resolved plan, unresolved plan, logical plan. And based on that cost model, they can select some plan and then they can create one physical plan, then they can run it. So let's suppose you are applying some aggregations and then you are applying filter. What Spark will do, Spark will automatically apply filter first and apply aggregation. In this way, Spark try to optimize the code. Well and good. So this type of problems are generally asked in interview. So let's try solving, show this problem. So let me just run it. I might be like my syntax might be wrong. So we will use the internet to solve our syntax. Well and good. This is our first approach and we are able to get the first login of each user. What was our second approach? Second approach was use window function. Well and good. Now, we have explained, right, why we are using the window function. Because using window function, we will not lose the other column informations. Like if I apply partition by on user ID, then and if I apply rank functions or else rank functions or even minimum or max or sum, it will actually create a new column. We will not lose the other column information like kit ID, login date or session count. But if we are doing group by, then we cannot write kit ID because we have only applied group by on user ID. Then we can apply aggregation on other columns, right? But we cannot select kit ID because we have not applied kit ID or login date or even session count in our group by. I hope you are getting it, right? And this comes handy because in our data engineering world, because there will be a lot of subsequent transformation. And once we solve the problem, next sets of problem, you will understand the beauty of this Windows function. Okay. So I'm also very bad with this syntax, but we will just go use this particular website and just use the syntax from here. So if you can see it, let me go on the top. Well and good. So they have applied the Windows spec. Okay. And for Windows spec, we have to apply import this particular statement, right? So this PySpark SQL.window import Windows. No need of remembering code, just use internet to learn and just to import the required syntax. Okay, so here what we are doing, our partition by column is user ID, right? We have already solved this problem using SQL, and our order by column is login date, and by default it is ascending in nature. Well and good. Then what we will do, we will say that let's say rank table or rank TF. Okay, and then we will call input df dot, then we will call with column. So what is the with column? With column has to create a new columns. So till now, while solving the problems, this is the next set of questions which can be asked in interview. First set was Spark sessions versus Spark context. Next set was transformations and actions. What is transformation? What is action? Next set of question, but why is this Spark transformations are lazy in nature? Now someone can ask you what is with column in Spark. Well and good. So you can just say with column can help you to create new columns. Well and good. So okay, then we can call this function as rank, and then we can apply rank function. And I have already imported my functions here as f, right? So I will say, because my rank function will be there in the function module of PySpark, so I will say f.rank, and then we will say over right? Let me see the syntax one. Okay. So, yeah, we have to write dot over, and then we can pass this window spec, which is here we have applied our partitions by and order by column, right? Window spec, well and good. And what we have to do, this will create one new column, right? This will create one new column here with the column name rank. So here for this particular user ID, in the rank column, what we will have, let me just write it down. So, or let me just edit it here itself. So, one minute, otherwise you are able to understand only. So it will create one column, and for user ID 1, the rank will be, for this particular row, it will be 1, because we are in ascending order, right? We have applied order by on login date, and that too in ascending order. So here the rank ID will be 1, and same way for this particular rows, the rank ID, the rank column will be 2. So here user ID 2 has only come one time, so for this particular row, the rank ID will be 1, and here it will be like, for this particular row, it will be 1 and this will be 2. Let me show you also that it will be like little, you will understand it better. Cool. Let's see the output. You can see it, right? And while we were solving the SQL, we have also like written rank, and we have also written minimum. I've realized that we don't require minimum function here, right? We can simply say that, or say result df is equal to rank df dot filter, and then we can say call of rank, and what should be the value? It should be 1. And if we show this result df dot, so well and good. I think we have not imported the call. We have to say f dot call, because we have imported functions, right? You remember? Cool. So if you see this thing, so you can see it, right? So it is like filtering all those columns where the rank is equal to 1. Well and good. So while doing this, we can also say select. We can select only the required column, right? Select user ID. We just format it little bit, and then we have to select what we have to select. We have to select login date, and let me alias also give the proper name, f dot all login date dot alias. Let me call this as first login, and then let me close this, correct, and then apply the filter. Then go filter this. I think we have to also apply f dot all. Okay, good, perfect. Other way, we could have also applied the filter, and then we could have selected the column, and we are getting the result. Well and good, perfect. So in this way, we can solve this problem using Windows functions, and we can also solve this problem using group by. So this is very easy problem. But in next sets of problem, we will try solving some more hard problem. So this was the first video. That's why I wanted to keep it simple and wanted to focus more on theory and solve some easy problem and demonstrate how to solve this problem using SQL and how to solve this same problem using PySpark. In the next part of this video, we will try solving some more interesting problem on this data set itself, like this badminton data set itself. I've already planned 5 questions, 5 interesting problems, which we will solve firstly using SQL, and then we will understand, and then we will try solving the same problem in PySpark. So I hope you are getting it. And let me tell you, this is not some Spark optimization or Spark theory course or Spark theory playlist or tutorial. Here we are trying to demonstrate PySpark, which is true learning. While you write the PySpark code, you will understand and you will get the gist and beauty of PySpark code, and then you will learn it, right? So we will be solving multiple problems, and while solving the problem, we will be discussing multiple concepts like repartition, coalesce, catalyst optimizer, understand engines, what is the dynamic resource allocations, Spark contest versus Spark sessions, what is with columns, what is shuffle, and this type of thing. We will try explaining everything one by one when we are solving the problem. So I hope you will watch the next video, which will be uploaded in couple of days, and then you will also understand the beauty of this Windows function, and we will solve subsequent problems using this particular table. This video has become long, so that's why I'm stopping it. Let's meet in the next part of this video. Let's solve more interesting problems and more problem related to this badminton data. Thank you for now, and if you have not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel so we can create some free content, and that will be helpful to everyone. And do like the channel if you have learned from it, and please comment your thoughts. We will be always happy to reply to your comment. Thank you for now. Let's meet in the next video. Thank you. Bye bye.